Okay, so here we have chapter 6, part 1, uh, the message of the prophets. Now, this chart is separated into three segments. We've got a top triangle here, and one here. So these three pieces constitute an overview of the message of the prophets, especially Isaiah and Jeremiah. Over here we have earthly restoration and everlasting restoration. So this section is about restoration. One of the big messages of the prophets is, even though judgment was imminent and judgment was upon them from the Lord because of their disobedience to the law, a restoration was promised, that even though they'd be taken captive out of their land, they would be brought back into it. Not only an earthly restoration, but an everlasting restoration in the kingdom of God is a big theme in the prophets. This is the judgment section. We have imminent judgment and eternal judgment. So again, a big theme in the prophets, judgment because of their sins, because of their disobedience. Not only now, using symbolism and prophetic language. This is a picture of God riding on a cloud, which is a big symbol in the Old Testament. With his bow outstretched, ready to bring his judgment on them, and then this is eternal judgment. And then this third segment is about Christ. So that's the third piece of the message of the prophets. There's a lot of prophecies about Christ, about this anointed servant of God, as it was called in some places in the prophets. Here we've got a crown symbolizing his glory, his power, his everlasting kingship. Someone was to come and sit on the throne of David forever. Over here, this cross symbolizes his suffering, his pain, his agony that this anointed servant of God was foretold to undergo. And so we have these two sides of the same anointed servant of God, which is represented by this man in the middle. Remember, Christ did not come yet, so they didn't know who this person was. And of course, we have our new covenant promise star in the middle. So this is a very important chart. We've got a subject here that's going to feed into the New Testament. When Jesus comes, he quotes from the prophets and says, "Those are those who testify of me." When the apostles, the first century Christians, during their writings in the epistles and the letters, they talk and quote from Isaiah, from Jeremiah, from the prophets. When Revelation comes around, the last book of the Bible, there's lots of quotations from these books. And so it's important that we understand why these books are here, what they're talking about, so that we can properly understand things as we go forward. If you're on the slow track for the Bible study, this will be probably 6 passages, two about judgment, 2 about restoration, and 2 about Christ. And then if you're on the slow track, 3 passages, 1 about Christ, 1 about judgment, and 1 about everlasting, or just the restoral that was promised. And again, this is vital stuff, because if we can help people to understand what the prophets were talking about, what they were looking ahead to, we can understand the depth of what Christ did when he came, when we get to that actually in the next chapter, in chapter 7.